I mean, you got Isaiah McKenzie, quality return
Kirby
man.
Smart.
That's what I was going to get to. Lewis Seen, first-round pick this past year, and then Kirby Smart, I mean, the man, the myth, the legend that is Georgia football at this point. So 16 is a strong one for the Bulldogs. But, yeah, we got to go 16. If we're going 16, best of all time, we got to go Peyton Manning. I mean, I almost tried to pull a fast one on you because there was another Heisman Trophy candidate, Heisman Trophy finalist that was a top pick in the 1998 draft. That was Ryan Leaf.
Yeah.
He was a quality 16, but I'm going to have to give the edge to Peyton Manning on this one.
You know what's wild, too, is I was looking at, like, biggest Heisman snubs of all time, and it is kind of wild that two of the big ones of the last 30 years were number 16s at powerhouse universities that, they just didn't win, and they went on to be first picks, Peyton Manning and Trevor Lawrence. And I thought about that where I was like,
who was the second one?
Peyton and Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence is a Heisman snub?
He's a snub.
What year?
Hold on. Trevor Lawrence was the best quarterback in football for the 2 years that he was starting for Clemson. He won a national title.
Well, he's starter for 3 years.
Well, 3 years. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
but 2019, Joe Burrow had like the greatest season in the history of college football. 2020, I mean, Devontae Smith. I mean, he wasn't even a finalist in 2020, right? Devontae Smith. I think Najee Harris honestly had a legit claim. Mac Jones did too, but. And then 2018, who's the Heisman winner? Kyler Murray? Is that 2018?
So. Yeah. And
so
he won the title in 2018.
I mean,
30 touchdowns, 4 picks.
In 2018, Trevor Lawrence, he was like that was equivalent almost to what Stetson Bennett was this past year. Like Trevor Lawrence was good that year, but like.
To be clear, this is Matt _W_Green comparing Trevor Lawrence, first overall pick and one of the best college quarterbacks of all time, to
2018 Trevor Lawrence or 2018 Clemson and 2021 Georgia are almost identical teams. Like just absolute dominant defense, number one defense in the country, and a quarterback that just had everything around him that just did the job. Like Trevor Lawrence wasn't just the best player on the team as a freshman. Like that team was loaded. Like he was really good. Obviously, he had way more upside than someone like Stetson Bennett, but they're very comparable in terms of what they were really asked to do on that team. And honestly, the numbers, it's like 30 touchdowns. What you said, like 5 picks. Stetson was like 29 and 7 or something like that this past year.
Yeah, 30 and 4.
I mean, they're pretty close, all things considered. Trevor Lawrence is obviously, I would never say Stetson Bennett's better than Trevor Lawrence, but I wouldn't call Trevor Lawrence a Heisman snub even at all. Like, I don't think any of those years he was really.
Well, you don't have to do snub, but the idea that like Peyton and Trevor, who are both like, just if you poll any college college coach at that time, like he's the number one pick of any quarterback that particular year. And we just see so many quarterbacks win the Heisman now, and this is a Heisman award for both Peyton. And I mean, I just think about Trevor just starting for 3 years and never winning. Like that just is bonkers to me that Trevor Lawrence, who was the best college quarterback, best college quarterback run, I think, of this last 20 years. Could we agree there? Like he was the most dominant over a 3-year stretch. Who would you take in a 3-year stretch?
I mean, in a 3-year stretch, I guess if you word it that way, like he was really good.
Like he was immediately good from his first game until he left. Like he was, there was no growing pains whatsoever. That dude was he was the number one prospect, was the guy, and it's like, all right, he's actually just going to be the guy, and he's actually going to win us a title as a freshman.
I mean, when you talk about how he did play for 3 straight years, because right off the top of my head, I'm thinking Joe Burrow and Cam Newton. Both of those really only gave you just the one amazing year. So you might have a point there. Like Justin Fields, you only got 2 seasons of that.
Right.
But I don't know. I mean, it's like a trivial thing that it's kind of crazy that a player that good didn't win the Heisman. I think Deshaun Watson's 3-year run might be. I mean, he was really just had the 2.5 years as the starter. But I did feel like Deshaun Watson was a more like spectacular player in college than Trevor Lawrence was, in my opinion. Like I think Trevor Lawrence, as good as he was, he felt like just like another cog in the machine that kind of was Clemson. Like he didn't, like he was really good. Don't get me wrong, but it almost seemed like he just kind of scratched the surface of what he really needed to do. Like Deshaun Watson, it seemed like they needed everything Deshaun Watson had to compete at the national level. Like I feel like they weren't the same like built up team necessarily around him. It wasn't, I don't think, as good for Watson as it was for Lawrence. But Lawrence was obviously a great player. It is when I think of a guy who it's crazy didn't win a Heisman, the first one I think of is McFadden. I feel like Darren McFadden was robbed. He should have won a Heisman at some point. He was just a straight up baller. But staying on the topic at hand.
There's no right answer here.
What's that?
They're like with the biggest snub and stuff like that. It's just one of those things when you think about the exercises and then just over the year, everyone can't win the award, right? Like only one guy gets to win this award. But I think for me, the thing was like the longevity, where him being the starter for 3 years and not getting it once is just kind of just really bad luck, like you said, with the guys who had the kind of years, like the Burrow years, where you're like, well, clearly no one's taken him over Burrow that year.
Yeah.
But it's still like, well.
And then his junior year, he missed 2 games with COVID that year, and they did lose a regular season game. So, I mean, I guess it.
But
they still made the playoff.
Yeah, it wasn't him. Like, you go through it. Like, he was completing 70% of his passes that last year.